So after a decidedly tame January, where bugger all tech launched besides a hilariously expensive PlayStation controller, it appears that February is determined to make up for it by hoying all of the expensive new tech right at my pallid slack-jawed mug. Just one day into the bastard, and already Samsung has chuffed out 3 new flagship phones and a sack full of laptops, and believe me, that's just for starters. I've already got a half dozen other tech events stuffed in the diary, and that's just for the coming fortnight. And then February is capped off by Mobile World Congress, only the biggest smartphone expo of the friggin' year. But I'm not concerned about the inevitable lack of sleep and heart palpitations that Feb will bring. Oh no, your Uncle Spurt is made of stern stuff, kiddies. Never fear, I've got more spunk than an entire Pornhub's worth of bukkake highlight reels. And if that doesn't get this video instantly demonetized by YouTube, I don't know what will. Probably saying f***ing, actually. But anyway, here's to an action-packed month, fellow Spurtans. Cheers! Tech Spurt Weekly! So Samsung's Galaxy S23 series is officially a thing rather than just the subject of endless speculation by internet nerds. And I've had a proper stroke and a poke of all 3 of these terrifyingly expensive smartphones. Let's start with a squint at the cheaper options, the Galaxy S23 and the S23 Plus, which cost from 849 quid and 1049 pounds respectively. I'm sorry, I just need a moment. Oh my god, they're so expensive! Beyond the slightly different colour options and the death of that camera bump, Samsung's design hasn't really much changed, although those screens are now protected by hardier Gorilla Glass Victus 2. And I am proper chuffed that the Galaxy S23 is still a proper dinky 6.1 incher like, so at least you can slip it into a pocket without having your pancreas persistently prodded. You've got the same Full HD plus 120Hz display as last year on both these blowers, albeit with a tweaked ambient setting, and that comes complete with stereo speakers and now Bluetooth 5.3 support. Performance gets a proper kick up the arse with Qualcomm's beefy and impressively energy efficient Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset. So while the 3900 and 4700 mAh batteries are only slightly bigger than before, here's hoping for the kind of staying power that Johnny's sins would be proud of. And that's the only big hardware upgrade for the S23 and S23 Plus, because Samsung has stuck with the same rear camera tech, although the main 50MP sensor should hopefully capture better night shots thanks to fresh image processing smarts. Expert RAW now has a 50MP option and you can shoot 8K video at 30fps. While night video hopefully won't look like a sack of murky arse. Oh, and up front, Samsung has finally upgraded the selfie cam to a 12MP effort after many years. But sadly, in my test photos, I do still look like a saggy, blotchy bag of puke. No escaping that then. Now, if these Samsung smartphones sound a little bit basic and far too cheap for your own personal tastes, well, no worries, you can always hoy some more cash at them for the Galaxy S23 Ultra. A snip at just £1,249, rising to £1,599 if you want the 1TB of storage. I mean, that's more than my first car cost. The Samsung S23 Ultra's screen doesn't curve quite so much around the edges now, but besides that it looks like the same as last year, with yet another S Pen stuck in its bottom so you can sketch highly mature artwork such as this. Likewise, the 6.8-inch AMOLED screen hasn't changed, spaffing out crisp Quad HD Plus visuals at up to 120Hz. Battery tech is identical too, but before you rage quit this video in utter despair, Samsung has actually made some proper changes. Besides the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which again powers this almighty blower, Sammy has also slapped a fresh new 200MP camera on the Galaxy S23 Ultra's arse. This uses 16:1 pixel binning and Samsung's enhanced Super Quad pixel autofocus to hopefully capture brighter, sharper low-light photos, with night portraits apparently a highlight. 8K video has been boosted at 30 frames per second as with the other S23 phones, but on the Ultra you get a wider viewing angle. And those ultra-wide and telephoto lenses remain the same, but the S23 Ultra sports that new 12MP selfie shooter, a big drop in megapixels versus the S22 Ultra, and yet still it seems to capture every wrinkle and gaping pore with terrifying accuracy. Curse you, Samsung! And I'm hoping that by the time you actually watch this video, I've got at least one of these Galaxy S23 phones on loan from Samsung to do a full review. I'm also hoping I don't accidentally fumble and break the bugger because I'll have to remortgage my house to pay Samsung back. After this new trio of smartphones, Samsung also launched a number of laptops, somewhat optimistically hoping that anyone would care. The Galaxy Book3 series comes in a few different sizes and specs, including a Pro model with a 360-degree hinge, and an Ultra model if you want proper hinge specs, including a 13th gen Intel CPU, Nvidia's RTX 4050 or 4070 GPU, and a gorgeous 120Hz 3K AMOLED screen. Perfect for whatever it is that basketballers need to do in their downtime, apparently. You probably won't be too shocked to hear that these laptops ain't exactly cheap though, so alcoholic beverages at the ready. The Galaxy Book3 Pro, for instance, starts at 1,349 quid. Chuck another 200 quid on if you want that 360-degree hinge, while that Billy Big Bollocks Ultra model will set you back almost 2.5Ks. So anyway, that's the Samsung shenanigans and about all of the tech news I can really muster up the energy for this week. Plus, I feel like I need to end the show really rather quickly before I just slump forwards in my chair. So now it's time for the part of the show where I have to really resist the temptation to hoy myself off the highest roof I can find. It's viewer comments! Viewer comments! So we're starting this week with Baz McLaughlin. Hey Baz, who says, I want the Ferret Dream deep dive. Trust me mate, you really don't. It swiftly turned into a kind of David Lynchian style nightmare. One of those ones that's a little bit sexy and horny, but mostly just really disturbing. And I bet anyone who hasn't seen last week's show is scratching their heads over that one. Or at least they would if they hadn't quit the video 3 seconds in. And next up, Andy Mundy says, hi and Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, buddy. John Burrows says, I've read the Twin Towers trilogy, good stuff, very gritty. And the uninvited guest says, just put your free book and enjoying it. Well, massive thanks guys for giving them a go, and for anyone who isn't aware, yes, my books are available on the Amazon Kindle store right now. And who knows, now that I'm a bloody YouTuber, maybe I'll actually get a proper publishing deal as well instead of having to self-frickin' publish. All I gotta do is change my name to Dappy Lad or whatever. Darth Guantai says, loved your reviews of the Alexa thing and the PS5 controller, but I miss our buzzed Uncle Spurt. And likewise, Mark124 says, looking a bit sober this week, but nothing that you can't sort out. Yeah, do not worry, fellas. I get the feeling that an awful lot of drinking is going to be done in February. And next up, Eye in the Sky says, Uncle Spurt, Paul from the Cayman Islands here. People actually live in the Cayman Islands? I thought that was just where Tories pretended to live for 11 months of the year. Way political commentary, just what you clicked on this for. Paul from the Cayman Islands continues, I broke my Pixel 6 Pro screen, so I might have to replace it soon. I can get another on eBay for $400, or is it worth double to buy a 7 Pro? And to be honest, the 7 Pro isn't exactly a huge evolution over the 6 Pro, it's more like a gentle refinement, I would say. So, you know, a few little upgrades here and there, but is it worth double that amount of money? I'd say you'd probably be happy with the 6 Pro. Still got that fantastic Pixel experience, the years and years of updates, you'll be sorted well into the future. Next up, Michael Ball. The Michaal Ball? Oh, Mike, and I'm lucky that anyone watches this raging garbage fire, let alone esteemed and renowned singer and actor Michael Ashley Ball, OBE. Mr. Ball says, hi, I'd love to hear your comments on Samsung trying to out-Apple with those ludicrous price rises that have been rumoured for the S23 series outside of the US. Yeah, it turns out it wasn't so much a rumour as a hard, cold, horrifying fact. Yeah, the prices for the Ultra model in particular are absolutely wild. Over $1,500 for that terabyte model. F***. And even the regular S23 cost the best part of $1,000 when, you know, we've already got some Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 handsets arriving for a lot less than that, like the gaming one, the Red Magic that I reviewed just this month. Anywho, Andy DHM says, why are there no rollable phones? Was it LG, I think it was, wasn't it, who had a rollable smartphone on their roadmap? They said they would be like an actual thing in real life by about 2023, 2024, back before they just decided to give up on the whole smartphone venture. And then there was that slightly hilarious Oppo concept phone that expands in your hand. That was technically a rollable, as the screen kind of rolled up scroll style inside of the phone when it shrank back down again. Well, I guess the reason they're not really a thing is because probably they're very expensive to manufacture and probably the durability side of things is an absolute nightmare. Next is Ethan, who says, hey Uncle Spurt, if you really hate the dark winter of the UK, then spend those days in Australia. I would if I bloody could, believe me mate. My parents never stopped banging on about the Christmas they spent over there and oh how lovely it was to pop open a beer on the beach on Christmas Day. Unfortunately, in Australia, when it comes to people who bang on about tech while also consuming far too much alcohol for their own goods, I think those positions are pretty much filled. RMG says, hello from Wales, hello Wales, and a massive thanks for keeping me sane during a couple of months period with extreme anxiety, so bad in fact that I couldn't even go to the doctors. That sounds really rough, mate. Yeah, anxiety and depression are just utter twats that can get f***ed. Hope you're feeling much better and glad I can somehow help out in my own weird little stupid way. Ben Knight says, someone needs to make a compilation showing all of the times that Chris made a your mum joke. I mean, feel free, but that's quite a lot, and that means basically rewatching every single episode of this show as well, which just, why would you do that to yourself? There's not enough of this stuff in the bloody world. Next up, it's Baz Anime. You right, Baz? Hope all's good, mate. Says, kind of surprised that the new Motorola phone every week trend has ended. What happened, Uncle Spurt? Bugger my arse. I completely forgot to report that Motorola has actually launched about half a dozen new friggin' smartphones already. How could I just cut back to the opening jingle? Tech Spurt Weekly. So forget Samsung, just 3 new phones, is it, you Jessies? Well, Motorola is kicking off 2023 in style with 5 of the bastards. Ah, what do you think about that, eh? Eh? So what we have here is 4 new Moto G series blowers, starting with the Moto G53 and G73, a pair of 6.5 inches with 120Hz IPS displays, 50 meg cameras and 5000 mAh batteries. The G53 is powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 480 Plus, while the G73 upgrades to MediaTek's capable Dimensity 930. Then there's the G13 and the G23, which again sport 50 meg cameras, but scale back the chipset to a Helio G95, hence no 5G action, while the display is a cheaper 90Hz panel. And there's also a fresh Moto E13, which, yeah, it's a bit crapper and a bit cheaper, and all of these Moto phones are available in Blighty from March. And yes, undoubtedly I'll be unboxing the whole bloody lot as well, unless I somehow miraculously remember where I stashed my emergency cyanide. As ever, got lots of people asking me where I get my anime phone wallpapers from, so let's roll that special jingle. Wall.alphacoders.com, wall.alphacoders.com, that's where my wallpapers come from, wall.alphacoders.com. Hugely run out of time now, so better make these the last few comments. Miko says, hello from Finland. Hello, my Finnish chum. I'll tell you what, Finland is well and truly right up there on my list of places I absolutely have to get my arse to. It sounds like you lot love heavy metal and booze about as much as I do. And Radoslaw says, fancy visiting South America? Well, what about the Falklands? It's some sort of tradition in the UK, I think. I mean, I've never been to the Falklands, but I can only imagine that it's basically a mini Britain, but with better weather. I'll still imagine everyone sat around a dark Irish pub sipping warm beer, except that most people are probably bright red instead of pale as f***. As I say, never actually been, that could be completely misguided, but if I'm going to travel all that way, I'd probably rather not just sit in another English garden eating Greggs and drinking Tetleys. Anyway, a massive thank you to everyone who commented last week. Thank you very much for your support, as always. Please do smash your comments down below. We'll try and wend our merry way through as many of those as possible in next week's show. And speaking of next week,
this is about next week.
And like I said, it's all starting to kick off now that we're into February. So we've got a Poco launch on Monday next week, followed by a OnePlus launch on Tuesday. No massive shock surprise that it's the OnePlus 11 that's launching there. Got at least one more smartphone launching next week as well, which I can't bang on about just yet because I am NDA'd all the way up to the danglies. And yes, I will hopefully be bringing you more Samsung shenanigans too. Huzzah! And basically, every minute that I'm not spending shooting video next week will be spent guzzling beer like it's got the power to grow back my hair. So if you haven't already, please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell to be the first to hear all of the exciting updates and things on phones and other tech. If that hasn't convinced you, I don't know what will. And please do have yourselves a bloody wonderful weekend. Cheers, everybody. Love you.